Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. Now that the holidays are here, many parents are issuing invitations to estranged adult children, and some large portion of those invitations will unfortunately go unanswered. This painful scene plays out all year long for these parents, but the holidays are particular hotspots for invitations because of the gatherings that traditionally happen around this time. On today's show, I want to share with you 3 reasons why your child may not respond if you send an invitation, and also talk about some exceptions to the general rule of not issuing invitations to estranged adult children. If your child hasn't responded to invitations that you've sent either recently or in the past, here are 3 reasons why that might be the case. 1, they may not have received the invitation. Now, that's probably not the most likely explanation in the case of an adult child who's estranged, but it is a logical possibility, so that's why I'm mentioning it here. And if it is the case that they didn't get the invitation, well, you might not need to worry too much about that, because if that's true, then in most cases, that's really okay, and it may even be a good thing. I'll talk a little bit later about why that is. The second reason you might not hear from them, which is in my mind a little bit more likely than that they didn't receive it, is that they were kind of annoyed by the invitation. They're frustrated because inviting them indicates that you may not have really gotten the message that they would like some space right now. It might feel a little bit tone deaf from your child's point of view. They've said, "I need space." And you replied, "Would you like to come for Thanksgiving?" So they don't want to reward that behavior with a reply. Also, they might resent being forced to play the role of the bad guy, having to reject you again because you keep reaching out. If they have any guilt about the estrangement, invitations make it worse. Now, you might think that stoking guilt could be a good thing, but inciting negative feelings in another person usually doesn't work to draw them closer. It only pushes them away. They want to get away so they can escape the bad feelings which they associate with you. So that's another reason why your child might feel irritated to receive an invitation. It forces him to be the bad guy if he doesn't say yes or doesn't reply at all. To be clear, I don't know how likely it is that that's why your child hasn't RSVP'd. It's just a logical possibility given the situation. If your child believes she's made her intentions known and wanted them to be respected, and if she feels at all guilty about it, then she could be irritated by getting an invitation. I imagine this is less likely to be the reason for their silence if your invitation included an acknowledgement of their desire for no contact, and an apology for disregarding that, and a rationale for why you thought it might be necessary, in this case, to do so. A third reason is one that there is some evidence for, and that is that your child is ambivalent about receiving the invitation. He doesn't know what to do. And so he just delays in replying. Maybe he wants to see how he feels closer to the time of the event, not because he's a diva or because he's selfish or rude, but because it will take some fortitude for him to attend an event with people he's overtly pulled away from. At the very least, it promises to be awkward. It takes courage to put yourself in that situation. Those are a few reasons why you might not have received an RSVP, even to a very friendly, very loose, non-demanding invitation. They either didn't receive it, it irritated them, or they're conflicted about whether to accept, and so they're delaying their reply. And they might dither until it's too late, and they don't end up answering or showing up. So, to avoid the pain of having an invitation dangling out there and not knowing what to expect, and possibly having your holidays ruined by that, here are some points to consider. First, give your child and yourself a different experience. If they've indicated that they don't want to be in contact, don't invite them to do anything for the holidays. Don't even offer to meet them for a video chat. Let them experience the natural consequences of estrangement from family. Not as a punishment, but because they need to know what's involved in giving up contact with your parent or parents, especially at the holidays. You see, as long as you keep reaching out to them, they never have to experience being completely without you. You have all the pain of missing them and feeling alienated from them. But they don't have to miss you or feel alienated at all because you're still right there texting or emailing them or sending them treats. You are there for them. I think it's good to be there for them if they reach out to you. But being constantly there with invitations and good wishes may be prolonging the estrangement because they never get the psychological distance that they may be seeking. So instead of waiting around for a response to your invitations or wondering whether they'll show up because you issued an open invitation, if your child has indicated a wish for space and time to herself, then try very hard not to issue any invitations at all. And sadly, that even includes the holidays. The bottom line is this: you can suffer without your child and feel rejected, or you can just suffer without your child at the holidays, minus the rejection. She can spend the holidays fending off invitations, or she can spend them experiencing silence from those she decided to cut off. Being estranged means that everyone on both sides will suffer during the holidays. It's just a matter of choosing the flavor of suffering that is least onerous for you and that enables you to salvage some enjoyment from what is supposed to be a festive time of celebration and good cheer. But back to the question of issuing invitations. I can think of two exceptions to the general rule of not reaching out with invitations. One is if your child has ever complained to you that you don't care about him, that you've neglected him or been careless in your parenting. In this case, it may be meaningful to him that you do extend those invitations, even if he doesn't reply. The other case where you might want to continue throwing invitations into a potential void is if your child has been alienated from you by her other parent from the time she was a minor. Alienated children indicate that even though they don't respond, they do appreciate when the alienated parent makes efforts to connect with them. Just make sure that parental alienation is the only reason for the estrangement before implementing this exception. To summarize, if you've already issued an invitation to your child, realize that if you don't hear back from him, it's not because he's forgotten his manners or doesn't respect you. it's more likely because your invitation has put him in a difficult position. For the benefit of both of you, with those 2 exceptions I mentioned before, don't issue invitations to an adult child who's indicated a desire for distance. Instead, respect that need and send silent wishes for peace and healing this holiday season. Later in life, after you've reconciled, you can talk about the decisions you're making today, and your child will know then that you had her best interests in mind. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.